Three, two, one. Hey, it's Wild Josh from Geek-Cetera, and I'm joined by Kyle. It's just the old guys today, and today we're going to talk about the mystery of the Book of Boba Fett. Now, let's get geeky. All right, so everyone is really excited about the after credits sequence of The Mandalorian Season 2, Episode 8, or Chapter 16, or whatever you want to call it, The Rescue. And so we decided that we wanted to sit down and talk a little bit about this Book of Boba Fett, what it means for The Mandalorian going forward, and some things like that. So we're going to get into it. So back in November, actually, I shared an article with you guys. It was discussing that there was a Boba Fett series coming, and we were kind of excited about it. We had questions as to it. Now, at that point, all we had seen was a very quick shot of Temuera Morrison as Boba Fett. We didn't even know he was Boba Fett. We knew he was Boba Fett, and there was no credit saying he was playing the character Boba Fett. We didn't actually find that out until much later in the series. All we knew was Temuera Morrison was in it. So the excitement started to grow from there. So let's get into a little bit more of what we know. Besides that, we had that rumored series coming for Boba Fett. In December 10th, Disney came out with their investor meeting information, and we got information on all sorts of new stories that were coming to the Star Wars universe, but they did not include a Boba Fett series, right? So what did we get, Kyle, for when Disney announced?
Yeah, so I mean, I think the ones that are of note to this video are the Ahsoka series and the Rangers series, which are spin-offs. One's a prequel that are direct tie-ins to The Mandalorian that we were told would cross over, kind of reminiscent of what DC is doing in the CW with their shared TV universe. But we also got a bunch of things. We got Bad Batch, we got a Kenobi series announced, so it seemed like they were announcing everything.
Yeah, there was that feeling that this was everything, and they were setting us up for, a couple years now, because they set up as far as 2023, and we were getting 10 new series to 2023, and it was, a lot of people were excited, but there was still that lingering question as to why there was no announcement of Boba Fett. But one thing that there was during that investor day was they announced that Mandalorian Season 3 would be coming in December, Christmas time, they said, of 2021. But that was kind of confusing because that other announcement that we had received, or that I had shared in November, said that the Boba Fett series was going to be recording or filming, and the Mandalorian was going to be filming Season 3 at different times. The Boba Fett one was actually going to be filmed first, is what the information that we had said. So then, fast forward now a few more weeks from that investor day to this past Friday, which was the 19th of December, and we get the final season of The Mandalorian Season 2, the episode or chapter called The Rescue, where we get an after credit scene, which, why don't you break it down for us, Kyle?
So with that scene, and I know Josh had just watched it, maybe I should have just watched it, but basically what happens is we get a scene of Bib Fortuna sitting there in Jabba's palace on Jabba's throne with some henchmen, and we also see a nice little Twi'lek dancer there. And all of a sudden there's some gunfire, and we see Fennec Shand coming down the same walkway that Luke Skywalker came down in Return of the Jedi. She takes out all of Bib Fortuna's henchmen. And at some point, I think it was when she was shooting, Bib Fortuna yells out McClunky just before someone drops, which was a nice little homage there to the newest edit of the original trilogy. Fennec Shan also releases the Twilight Dancer, who was chained to Jabba's throne by shooting that chain, which was great. Good for her. She didn't murder an innocent person. But then Boba comes down the stairs. Bib talks to him a little bit, but Boba just shoots him dead and takes over his throne. And that's when we get a cut that says Book of Boba, coming December 2021.
Correct. Yeah, there you go. So that's pretty much it. There's a lot to talk about in that little cut scene, end credit scene, whatever. There was a staff that Bib Fortuna was holding that wouldn't really be that important, except for when the toys came out back in, 83, when Return of the Jedi came out. Bib Fortuna had that staff. Now, Bib Fortuna in Return of the Jedi did not have a staff in any of the scenes that actually made the final cut of the movie. But when you bought his toy, every toy has to come with a weapon or something, right? So what did Bib Fortuna had? He had the staff. And in that scene, when he's sitting on the throne, he has that staff that he had in 1983. Kenner toy came with, which I thought was a really cool tie back. And I love the Easter eggs, so what can I say? All right, so we get that, and we get that time frame again of December 2021. So, confusion. Are The Mandalorian Season 3 and The Book of Boba Fett the same thing, or are they different? So we're kind of in the dark. There's not a whole lot of information to go on. But just before we were about to come on and record this, an artist that works for Lucasfilm, his name is Paul Bateman, said, basically, as far as he knows, and now he doesn't know everything, obviously, he's an artist that works for Lucasfilm, but he's involved in concept design and character creation and things like that, and makeup and stuff. He said that they're running 2 separate shooting groups for those projects. So there's a Mandalorian Season 3 shooting group, and there is a the Book of Boba Fett shooting group. So that would lead you to believe that these are 2 different things. They're not the same story that's being told.
So this is actually separate from The Mandalorian Season 3. But what we didn't say in that announcement is that the next show coming up, Kathy said the next chapter, and that's going to be The Book of Boba Fett. And then we go into production right after that on Season 3 of The Mandalorian, back with the main character that we all have known and loved.
So The Book of Boba Fett is a spin-off Star Wars TV series, and will air additional to Ahsoka and the Ranger series, and include crossovers, right, Kyle? Is that basically what we're saying there? It would be in addition to.
Right.
Okay. All right. Which I like. Because personally, I want more content anyways. So I think although I know that with The Mandalorian, the Grogu storyline seems to have wrapped up, as far as I can tell. I'm okay with that. I'm ready for them to go into a new storyline with Din Djarin, whether it has to do with him becoming, Mandalore, because he now has the Darksaber, or whether it has to do with him helping Bo-Katan become Mandalore and be the supreme ruler of Mandalore. I guess we'll have to see. I have some problems with that whole Darksaber Mandalore thing, but yeah, I personally think there's enough to go on.
Yeah, that sounds right. So it would fit. It would fit. I don't know what the stories would be, but it could fit as scenario 1.
With the stories, and I know we don't want to go wicked long on this, but I was thinking that it could really tie in neatly with the Rangers of the New Republic, because if he's really, Boba Fett's really this kingpin of this underground, or not even underground, it could be the Hutt cartel he's running, and that's not really underground. But if that's the case, then he could butt heads with characters that have already been given to us, like Cobb Vanth, who's marshal of a town on Tatooine. So I think that would be really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I could definitely see that.
Yeah, I like that idea, though, of the crossing paths. I wanted more of that in Marvel. We got a lot of it in the movies, but they never did it between the movies and the television stuff properly. I don't feel at all, actually. So I would like to see that done right with Star Wars. I think they can. I think they can do it. And I think the first glimpse of that is what we got in The Mandalorian, where we got Luke Skywalker in The Mandalorian. Like, that's a crossover from movie to TV. So, yeah. I don't even know how to call this, though. It's not TV, right? It's Disney Plus. So it's like, they can do whatever they want. They're making up their own rules at this point because it's a Disney-owned streaming service. It's not really TV.
Mark Hamill called it TV.
That's true. He did. Yeah. Yeah. That's it, I think. Do you have anything additional?
Just focusing on that scene alone, I thought it was just a comedic scene throwaway. Like, why would Bib Fortuna be the one that took over for Jabba? He did not fit that mold in my mind. Why did they say McClunky? Like, I thought it was a comedic scene.
So you thought, like, you didn't think it was canon?
Until I saw that the Book of Boba was coming in December 2021.
Oh, okay.
But up until that,
yeah.
I just thought it was like a fun throwaway scene.
Yeah. I gotta say that everything that they're doing, well, obviously, they hit it out of the park with The Mandalorian, right? And there's something about the way that John and Dave, and the other directors as well, put together these stories where it just feels more real than anything I've ever seen in Star Wars to date. I'm talking original trilogy, prequel trilogy, sequel trilogy. The blaster bolts hit harder. The punches hit harder. Like, everything is more visceral and real. And like, when Boba Fett was attacking those stormtroopers, like in the past, we see stormtroopers get hit, right? And they just go, they fall down, right? Everything, like, when they get hit by a blaster, they go flying back, and like everything looks more realistic and harder hitting and more gritty. And I just really find it really interesting the way they're doing it. It's almost to the point though where I don't want my 2-year-old or 3-year-old watching when I'm watching, because I'm like, it's like when Boba was hitting those guys with his Gaddafi stick and like crunching that plasteel armor on the stormtroopers. We never got anything like that in any of the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, even in the sequel trilogy, maybe a little bit more, but I was just surprised as how gritty it is and visceral and real, and it has me both excited and worried at the same time. Does that make any sense?
Yes. So I've felt that way, and I know I talked about this last year after the second episode where he was using his disintegration slugs on the Jawas, and I was just like, this is pretty violent.
Yeah.
So I do agree with you. I know exactly where you're coming from. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I agree. Just one point I want to make, because I know you guys, this is more about the end credit scene than anything, but I agree with you, and I think this series in Star Wars in general is going to work best when the Jedi are legends and legendary and you don't delve too much into them. Having Luke come in and just kind of save the day and then leave without getting into things like midichlorians or like the Jedi Order and how it all works.
Yeah,
I think that's the best way to handle them.
That's interesting though, because what is the name of one of the titles that we have coming? Acolyte. That is going to be all about the Force and how it works, but instead of it being a Jedi, it's going to be on the Sith side. So that could be an interesting series, actually, that I'm excited, but also slightly anxious for too, because I'm like, okay, there's some pretty dark stuff that the Sith do, and I definitely don't think I want to dive into all of it. So we'll have to see where that goes. But interesting. So, do you agree with us? What did you think of that end credit scene? Where's it going? Are they going to be two separate entities? The same thing? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. And if you have any other crazy theories, drop those in the comments as well, because we'd love to talk about them Also, be sure to like, subscribe, share. We're doing live stuff every Monday. We have regular content coming out every week, later in the weeks as well. So we want you to a part of this community. So please like, subscribe, share. Help us grow so we can do more videos and put out more content for you. And thanks for watching. And until next time, this is the way.
Are you a Jedi?